This is Radically Alive Women's Agecast.
Hello, Lindsay.
Hello.
Hello and
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you.
It's amazing. I love this so much.
Okay.
You're only the second guest that I'm receiving as a mystery.
Oh my gosh. That's very brave.
Well, it's brave of you too to show up.
It's not hard for me to talk about myself. It would be hard for me to talk to someone I know nothing about.
Let's be brave together and be at this edge of speaking the things that even like I'd be curious to hear also whether you will be saying things that you've never said before.
Maybe.
So discover maybe things about yourself that you haven't been aware of. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows? That's exciting and juicy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do these work?
I mean, mainly it's about being real with each other. This is what,
Okay.
I mean, there's no one way that they work. They work how they work, or they don't work. I don't know. Let's find
Okay.
out. But I love this going to the edge of what we know and have the fear there and be okay with it. And you must be curious and courageous, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So, and let's play, let's have fun. And you can say what you want, you can ask what you want. We can also say, hey, actually this sounds crap. We don't want that on audit. We can always delete stuff.
Okay.
But the rawer, the better, like for me. And the realer, the better. And I think it's great I want to get to know you now. I want to know who you are.
Okay, amazing. I want to know who you are. I've never heard of you before. I just got this random DM from someone that was like, I think you'd make a great mystery guest for this podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, how interesting. I have to see what this is about. So I love being on podcasts though. I love it.
Yeah. What do you love about it?
I love talking about myself.
I love that.
To be really honest. I love talking about myself. I also love being asked questions about myself or my work that make me have to think about things I probably haven't thought about before just because someone new is asking the questions. I'm also a very chatty, curious Gemini sun, and I have Mars in Gemini. So my communication tends to be sometimes a little feisty. Sometimes a little disruptive. But yeah, I do love being on podcasts. I told somebody one time if I could just like be paid to be on people's podcasts, I would make it my job.
Okay, so if anybody hears this and wants to pay Lindsay for being on a podcast, please reach out to her.
Yeah. I'm accepting offers.
Right. Yeah, I love it. You know what you're already like what I'm already sensing of you is, yes, the curiosity, but also the boldness of being okay with who you are and being okay with claiming that and saying, yeah, I love that. And
because what would be the point of me being like, oh, I hate talking about myself and I hate talking about my work and it's just such a drag. Like, what would be the point of that? You might be like, that's a red flag. You might want to do something else. That's what I'm talking about.
Yet, so many women have, like, it seems to be a long path for some of us to get to that point, and that I'd be curious about how that is for you. Mm-hmm. Have you always been like that, or was that also a path? Because there's all this conditioning of be modest, don't shine too much, be kind, whatever that means. And really, the message is cut yourself short. In German we say, put your light under the chair. Don't shine too much.
Hide it. Yeah. So that's a really interesting question. And when you first asked the question, I was like, yeah, I've always been like this. But then as you got into the question more and you were talking about like higher light or being more modest or something, like I was definitely raised to be like that. I was raised in the Bible Belt in South in Texas. So definitely had like a super Christian, evangelical, purity culture, modest is hottest, surrender your life kind of upbringing. And so like what you're asking me, like, have you always liked to talk about yourself or have you always known who you are? Have you always been bold? My answer is weird because it's like, yes, I tried really, really hard to fit into the good Christian girl box. Really tried super, super hard. I wanted to please God. I wanted to please Jesus. I wanted to please other leaders in the church who were looking at me, and I wanted to please my parents, but uh I also like have always had a mouth. And the thing that used to get me in trouble the most whenever I was a kid was talking or asking questions. And so my answer is I've always been a talker. I've always asked questions. I've always wanted to go deep with people and have really authentic conversations, but the environment I grew up in told me don't be like that. And I tried really hard to follow the rules and I just couldn't. So my answer is like, yes, when I'm heavily, heavily masked, like I'm not bold and courageous and chatty and all of that. But when I don't have the conditioning and I can take off the mask, then like, yes, I love talking about myself and I love talking about you. Like everything that I would tell you about myself, I would immediately turn around and be like, and what about you? Because to me, there's no point in just talking about myself unless I'm also not finding out something about you. Like I want to find out something about the person I'm talking to. I don't just want to take up all the space, but I am comfortable taking up space. And I think that that has gotten me in trouble a lot.
How has this gotten you in trouble?
So, like I said, I had a mouth, and my parents did some really fucked up shit whenever I was a kid. I could tell you many different examples of things, but I'll give you the most obvious one. And it's that I knew growing up that we did not have money. Like I knew my parents put groceries on credit cards. I knew that my parents were fighting about money. I knew like I was a baton twirler. My mom really wanted me to be a baton twirler. And I knew that we couldn't afford for me to be a twirler, but she still really wanted me to be a twirler. So if I would mess up, she would be like, I pay all this money for you to twirl. Right. So like I knew from a very early age, we don't have money. And then I also grew up on a horse ranch. And I remember knowing that we didn't have money. And then my stepdad would come home with a new horse that was $1,500, $3,000, $4,000, something like that. And I wasn't trying to be snarky or disrespectful. I would just put two and two together, which is one, we don't have any money. And one, you came home with a new horse. 1 + 1 = 2. And I would be like, why are you buying new horses when we don't have any money? I feel like that's a perfectly legitimate question, but coming from a 9-year-old to a man with a fucking weak ego, apparently that question is not allowed. And so one of the things that my stepfather said to me whenever I would open my big mouth is, and I was a very tiny child, he would say, your alligator mouth overloads your hummingbird ass. Meaning you have this really big mouth and you're in this very tiny body. And that was his way of shaming me to get me to be quiet, because clearly I was speaking the truth whenever I was like, why did you bring home a horse when we don't have any money? Right. So that like, I'm a projector in human design. I don't know if you know anything about human design, but as a projector, a tiny baby projector, I was seeing what wasn't working in my family's life and I was pointing it out, but I wasn't being invited to do that, obviously, because I was a kid. But still, I kind of feel like at 9 years old, I was a little bit wiser than my parents were, even at a little age. And I could call that stuff out, but I always got in so much trouble for it. I was a smart aleck. I had a big mouth. My alligator mouth overloaded my hummingbird ass. I needed to sit down and shut up. That was the kind of stuff. So yes, brave, bold, courageous, take up space. I'll tell you like it is. But no, because I constantly got shoved back down in the box.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So you must have, and I get really the sense of, okay, yes, you've always been that, and that part must have been strong enough to pull you through or to knock on your door again. It's like, no, you can't shut me down. Was there a part of you that had to be reclaimed in that way, or how did you go about that?
I'm not sure if there was a part of me that had to be reclaimed as much as I already had it and I knew I had it. I just had to let the conditioning go. because later when I wasn't a child anymore and I was an adult, my husband was a pastor in the Bible Belt in the South. And we had a pastor, the last church that my husband worked at, we had a pastor that he was a real special case. I don't even know what else to say. But I mean, I don't remember having any sort of like confrontation with him, but I think that my very being was confrontational to him. And I sang with my husband because my husband was a worship leader. So I would sing with my husband at church on Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights and do rehearsals on Tuesdays and all the things. And one time we decided to do an acoustic service. So it was just my husband playing the guitar. We had a djembe player and a cellist, and I was singing. So there were just 4 of us. And it was a really intimate setting. And I wanted to take off my shoes because I normally would wear heels on the stage. And I was like, this is really intimate. I want to be able to like close my eyes and not worry about falling over because I'm wearing high heels. So I took off my heels. And then like a month later, the pastor approaches my husband and I and is like, when you took your shoes off for that service, I couldn't even focus on God. All I could focus on was your feet. That's gross that you would have your feet out. And I was just like, because I didn't take my shoes off for people to notice. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to be like, oh, I'm going to take my shoes off and be very religious or whatever. I was just like, I don't want to close my eyes and have heels on and fall over. So I'm going to not wear shoes. And yeah, it was like, for me, it was also an act of intimacy. I'm very much a person that's like, when you're on holy ground, you take your fucking shoes off, you know? And I believe that still, even though I'm not a Christian anymore. Like when I come to a sacred place or a place that feels sacred to me, even if there's not like a sign saying it's sacred, I often will like feel a sense of awe and wonder and want to bow my head or take my shoes off or kneel down as an act of respect and worship even sometimes. And that's what taking my shoes off was. And I found it so weird that the pastor had such a problem with it. And later I was thinking about it. I mean, years later, I was thinking about it. Way after I'd started the journey I'm on now, I was thinking about it. And I was like, I think even my worship of God was so authentic that it was like threatening to the pastor because I wasn't waiting for anyone to suggest a way to be more intimate with God. I found my own way and it offended him. And I don't even, to this day, I don't know what is offensive about my shoes being off because at that time I had very pedicured feet, you know, so like I don't anymore because I live on a homestead in the middle of nowhere now. I haven't had a pedicure in over a decade, but at that time I had very pedicured feet. So like there was really nothing about my feet that was actually gross. I think this guy was just like so threatened that even my relationship with the divine was like more mask off than his relationship was. And his relationship, one of the things that made him a very special character, he just had a very performative like spirituality or relationship with God or whatever. And I don't actually remember the question that you asked me before I started off on this tangent. But I know it was something about, did I have to?
Yeah, did you have to, like, what kind of path did you take to, did you have to reclaim, you know?
Yeah. The reclamation. Yeah. So in 2020-ish is kind of 2019 is when my healing journey started. I guess it's not even the current iteration of it anymore. Healing Journey 1.0 started in 2019-ish. We're like on Healing Journey 6.0, but Healing Journey 1.0 started in 2019 with a psych ward stay and a suicide attempt. So that's kind of how it started, and that's how I got into what I do now, which is I'm a trauma integration coach and a relationship coach, and I do a lot of somatic work, and my focus is always authenticity. So just in case you didn't know what I did and you have no idea who you're
I have
talking
no
to.
idea, but
Okay, that's what I do.
And at the same time, it is an idea. I can sense it.
Okay. So yeah, I think that my journey of being in a psych hospital following a suicide attempt on all these psych drugs was my awakening. And from that place, I began to learn about the nervous system and trauma and integration and abandonment and all the things, and just slowly put those pieces together for myself and walked on the journey. And I think that it's like this for everyone's healing journey, but I'm not sure, I guess, but I think it is, at least the people who find their way to me, is it's like they reach a point or maybe multiple points where who they've been being, who I was being, was no longer completely true to who I felt I was. So it's like the external expression of me didn't match the internal truth, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the internal truth was who I've always been, like loud, bold, take up space, call it like it is, tell the truth even when people don't like it, really opinionated, like you never have to guess what I'm thinking. And that was always who I had been, but I had the church and my stepdad and my mom and all these different people being like, no, don't be like that. So then as I'm on my healing journey, it was just like letting the no, don't be like that come up and actually just be able to sit with that and go, is that true for me? Is putting on that identity of modesty and purity and being the like docile, submissive Christian woman, like they put that identity on me. I tried to wear it. It clearly was not an outfit that fit. And so now I'm just like letting myself take it off. And this is what I believe about authenticity. I don't believe that authenticity is something that you do a bunch of work and then you find it. I think it's something that's already in you and you take off the layers and you excavate and you find it there. It's here. It's not out there, you know? And so I think my journey in every iteration of it has been more of like, oh, here's another layer that's not me. I'm letting it fall away so that I can be more coherent, meaning my inner truth and my outward expression match. If that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, totally lands in me. And I deeply resonate with that imagery as well. So it's not really about becoming someone else, or it's more remembering who you were in the first place, right?
Yeah, it's unbecoming.
Unbecoming the things that we learned to fit in, to adapt, to be safe, which is also a noble endeavor, and it worked.
Yeah, and I think during COVID, like we don't have to talk about COVID for a long time, but I'm just using this as an example. Is like I noticed during COVID, this was really the first time this language came into my awareness, was I noticed there were a lot of people who were really, really focused on being safe, right? And so their focus was, I'm not going to leave my house. If I do, I'm going to wear a mask. I'm going to wear gloves. I'm going to get the vaccine. I'm going to get another vaccine, another vaccine, another vaccine. and I'm not shaming anybody for doing any of these things, okay? Like it doesn't even matter what side of that I was on. It's just an observation from a pattern in the collective. So there were people that were really, really focused on safety, really distancing themselves from everyone else, like not having lives for a couple of years. Their focus was safety, and that's totally, totally fine. And then there were like other people in COVID and their focus was freedom. They're like, don't tell me what to do with my body. I won't wear a mask if I don't want to. Or I'm an adult. I can make a choice about what I do with my body, right? So we had those people, and there were sort of these two camps of people that were very warring against each other, right? It was terrible. And it was like a lot of shame and a lot of vitriol, and it was just nasty. But zooming out from COVID, working with as many nervous systems as I've worked with at this point, I see sort of the whole reason that the COVID split of there's the people that want to be safe and the people that want to be free is because of their nervous systems, right? It's like how their nervous systems were perceiving what was happening at that time. And I think that for my own journey, trying to fit inside the box of the good, godly, submissive, docile, modest girl / woman was my efforts at trying to be safe, but I wasn't free because I was in a box, right? Like nothing about that was free because it wasn't me. And for me, if I had to sum up my healing journey in one sentence, it would be, I saw how I was doing all of this shit to keep myself safe, and I decided I wanted to be free. And yeah, I can see that like everywhere in the way that people interact with the world. People are either interacting with the world through a lens of freedom, or they're interacting through the world with a lens of safety. And their choices, their relationships, everything is kind of dictated through whatever lens they're looking at the world through. And I certainly know there's a place for safety, but I also know safety is very subjective. And I don't even claim to host safe spaces. I'm not like, oh, come here, it's a safe space, because I can't fucking guarantee that for anybody. But yeah, I think my sort of North Star is freedom and respecting my nervous system and my animal body for the ways in which she keeps me safe, but also knowing that I'm not just an animal body that has a nervous system that wants to stay safe. I also have a soul that came here to animate this body. And my soul doesn't give a shit about safety, right? My soul is like this limitless, expansive thing. It doesn't give a fuck about safety. It just wants to be expressed and alive through the body. And I guess we could say that these two parts of us are at war with each other, but I don't actually think that they are. I think that it's just like you take care of the animal body and it does what it does for you. It detects, it perceives, it protects, it does all those things. And then you have the soul, and your soul is like, I want truth and I want freedom and I want integrity and all those things. And I think that the journey really is about like the integration of the two. And for me, the authentic self or the God self is when your animal body and your soul body are just really integrated, and like you can choose from the place of, I'm listening to my body, I hear my body's messages, I feel what feels like it's unsafe or whatever, and I also hear the truth within myself and what wants to be expressed through me, even though I'm afraid. And can I integrate those two so that I'm not overriding my body and spiritually bypassing it, right? So that my soul is just like constantly expressing itself. Because that would really dishonor the limitations of my body, you know what I mean? And it does have limits, but the soul is limitless. And I don't see these parts of me at war with each other. I see them as more like I'm on a journey of integrating them.
As I listen to you, my heart expands with joy because
Oh my goodness.
really, yeah, because I know this from my own journey. Yeah, this real hunger for freedom, for this autonomy, for this absolute sovereignty, which
Yeah.
I see we are born for as human beings. We are born to be sovereign beings, just like every other animal. Yeah, and we have specific skills and specific gifts as humans. We are part of the whole orchestra, and this freedom is just such a big part of it for me as well. I can so resonate to your sharing also of the COVID times, and how that is in general, though, like a part of the general narrative, which I see play out a lot. Like this is also the way to control people, is if they have a lot of unconscious fear that they don't know how to manage. And then the nervous system is fried because there's a constant threat. There's a constant threat and you don't know what to do with it. So in constant survival to just be safe, or to be safe, to be, to get along somehow in all sorts of ways, be it physically, be it financially, be it because of threatening wars, all of that, then you can be manipulated easily. You can be really controlled easily unless you do the breaking free from within to actually create the life from a different place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that journey from I'm safe, but I'm not free to, oh, I can be free and safe at the same time, right? I'm not saying you pick one or the other. I'm not saying it's either freedom or safety, although it might feel that way. But it really is like, no, you can be free and safe at the same time. And like, you won't always feel safe, but you can learn how to know that you are safe, even if you don't feel safe, right? Like the animal body is going to do what the body's going to do. It's going to send out the alarms and the signals, and it's going to perceive things faster than you have a conscious thought about what it's perceiving. I mean, okay, here's an example. So I have a women's community online called Rooted Web, and a woman left the other day, and we have sort of an exit thing that women go through when they leave, which is like they tell us their reason for leaving. And we hope that they tell us like a really honest reason, because if we can make something better, we will. So this woman said that she was leaving because of me. And she wasn't leaving because I'd done something wrong. She was like, I'm actually really proud of how Lindsey shows up on social media. I've just realized she's not for me. And so it was nothing that was wrong in the community. It was literally like my energy and her energy were not coherent with each other. And when the message came through, my body sort of instantly had this feeling from my solar plexus out, right? Sort of that electric shock feeling, which I had no conscious thought over, right? I wasn't like, okay, body, have an electric shock feeling while I read this message, you know? But I had the electric shock feeling, and then I was like aware that I had the electric shock feeling. And then I was like, ooh, okay, body's feeling a little abandoned at the moment. And then I started laughing, and I was just like, and that, to me, that was my soul self that was like coming through. So it was like the animal got its reaction, and then the soul was like, we know what the truth of this is. Like, this is not a big deal, you know? And truthfully, I am grateful that she left, and I'm grateful that she sent a really honest message. And I'm also really grateful for my own authenticity, because it clarified some things. You know what I mean? Me just being myself clarified for someone else, you're not for me. And I'm so not offended by that. I'm so grateful that she had the agency to take that information and actually act on it and be like, I'm going to leave the community, and I'm going to honestly tell you why. I think that's really brave, because she could have just been like, oh, I just don't spend as much time here as I thought I would. Like, she could have given me some bullshit canned answer, but she didn't. She risked being super honest with me, and I love that. But I can't lie that my animal body didn't immediately feel something, right? And I don't think the point of healing is to get to a place where the body doesn't have its initial reaction to something. It's like, yeah, my body works. That's why it's having its initial reaction. It's doing what it's supposed to do. I just don't want that initial reaction to make my decisions for me. I want to have the reaction, feel it, and then let myself discern through what's happening and then respond. And when I laughed, I was just like, oh, I know this is okay. Like, my body's just doing what it does.
Yeah,
You
great
know,
example. A great
silly
example.
body.
Yeah. I've had recently a similar experience, to tell you a bit about what I do. I've just recently done this online summit together with a woman, for women in German, called Adventure Sisterhood. And we would, every day send emails out and release interviews and have live workshops. And there would come feedback, and we would tell people, like, from the beginning, we're like, this is about authentic sisterhood. Tell us what's really going on. Show yourself. Here are you to show yourself. Be authentic. And then they did. And first, like, receiving a feedback that was maybe more on the critical line of, I had a similar reaction. It was like, oh. Or if someone would go like, hey, I want to actually cancel my subscription, I want to leave, I'd be like, this pride going there. I don't know whether that's the herd animal or this pride in women especially that want just everybody to stay together and just forever. But then for me, it was more this experience of, I noticed that, and then I go, oh, this, like, it's more like my ego also almost saying, oh, but I'm in wanting to defend, and then noticing, oh, I can actually just have this gap. And then I didn't laugh. For me, it was a different reaction, and the joy came, but I was sad. I felt sad because I was so touched that what I had invited them to do, they were daring to show themselves. And I was so touched by, okay, this is actually the culture I want to live in. And it just melted my heart, but it really required me to navigate that and to not just stay stuck in the, which I could have done easily, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's really magical. That's really magical. Isn't it crazy how tough feedback can be really magical?
Yeah, and this is a journey for me, definitely. But to get to the point that I can actually take feedback, no matter in which direction, is really this gift that helps life to thrive in this body and in the connection as well.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that you take the feedback in, and then do you have some sort of like discernment or filter system within yourself where you can take maybe feedback that's negative and filter it through your own, whatever that is, and then decide if it's true for you or not, so that you're not just taking all feedback as truth that you have to believe, or all feedback is a problem you have to fix, or something like that.
Definitely. It's also about, letting myself be touched, but it doesn't mean I have to be on the same page or I have to agree. It doesn't mean that at all. It
Or that
just
you have
means,
to change something
yeah,
because of what they say.
no, it's really discerning. You're totally right. It's like it's discerning of saying, how does this fit me? Like
Yeah.
what you said, is this appropriate for what I want to wear or not?
Yes.
And
Yes.
also, I got to the place where I was also thinking, I think I learned that from a Brené Brown book, Dare to Lead, where she said, if you're not standing in the arena, you don't get to tell me how to do it. It helped me just to back myself up a bit. It's like, okay, interesting perspective, but I'm in the arena right now and I'm doing my best and I'm just going to see how it goes. And some of it is useful and some of it is not useful because, sometimes as women, we're also being like nitty gritty with each other and trying to perfect everything. And I'm really on this journey of putting the perfectionism onto the, like in the rubbish bin or on the compost dump.
Definitely.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know if you're on social media or not, but I feel like people project a lot of perfectionism on me in the way I show up online. And I'm just like, you are literally a total stranger. And what world are we living in where a total stranger tells another total stranger, you really shouldn't wipe your nose when you're talking? Like, because I was crying on camera one time and I went like this. And then one of the comments was like, I was totally on board until you wiped your hand across your nose. Get a tissue. Jeez. And I'm just like, can't even cry perfect enough on the internet, apparently. God forbid I have snot that I need to wipe away with my hand because I sat down and I wasn't planning on crying on camera, so I didn't bring a tissue with me. You know what I mean?
That leads back, that reminds me of this pastor episode that you mentioned, is this, if someone wants to be offended, there's no way I can avoid that. Everybody can be offended about everything, and actually I can be offended about anything as well, which I laugh about when I notice that about myself. It's like, wow, I can really be offended about anything. Pick my thing and I'll be offended about it.
Yeah. But I don't know if you feel this way too. I can be offended about anything, but I think the more I take off the outfits that don't fit me, the less offended I am by other people doing, right? Because I'm just like, oh, guess they're taking off an outfit that doesn't fit. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like not for me, but great. Like I can so be a person who's like, I am so happy that you are doing that and that is awesome for you, and also not for me, which is exactly what the lady did whenever she left my group, which I just think is the most honest thing ever. I hate the canned responses that are like, well, I signed up for this and then I didn't use it as much as I thought I would. I'm just like, it's not a product that you're consuming. It's a community. You don't use community. So as I say, I let that be really valuable information that you're not a fit for the community, and that's totally fine because you think it's a transaction. Cool. You know?
Beautiful. And I don't know whether you resonate with that, but that when people that you don't resonate with leave is actually a service to the whole community, including you, because the energy doesn't weigh things down.
Totally.
And everybody go where the energy flows for them. And then we can be almost like water. That's an image I get often these days. I want to flow like water so that whoever resonates, we flow together, we co-create. It's not about consuming. It's about, hey, bring what you've got. And then we bake this cake together or whatever. We're making something together. And if it's not a fit, it's not.
Yeah. And let's just be honest about it.
Wow.
And let's be honest about what's not a fit instead of making it be a problem with someone else, you know?
Yep.
And I love that her message, she didn't really make me a problem. She did leave because of me, but she was like, I'm really proud of you. You're just not for me. And I don't feel like that's making me a problem, you know?
Oh, beautiful.
So that was really special.
Yeah.
Even if my body was like,
it speaks for your community. To me, it speaks for your community, and it's amazing.
yeah, we design the community to very much resemble as much as possible, if you're familiar with the very old concept of the commons, the village commons, which was a thing in small villages before.
Tell me more. I'm not very familiar with that.
So in villages, like Northern European villages 1,000 years ago, for example, and earlier, people didn't live in like humongous cities with millions of people. Obviously, they lived in very close-knit villages. And before there were like noblemen, kings, rulers that were claiming all of the land and then forcing the people to work the land as serfs to be able to live on the land, the people were just free to live on the land. And there was a place that was called the commons. And the commons might be a spot in the village. It might be the woods. It might be a field. But it's kind of like a public park, honestly, but not manicured like a park, like not walking paths and landscaping and all of that. But it might be like in a Northern European village, like the forest land on the outside of the village. 150 people could easily get everything they need from that forest because they're all sharing it, right? So some people are going to get wood from the forest. Some people are going to get herbs from the forest. Some people are going to find mushrooms in the forest. But everyone has access. And it's like the honor system because nobody's there standing at the door of the commons being like, okay, what are you going to get today? Okay, go in and get it and then come out and, okay, did you get what you said? Nobody's doing that. It's like in community, there's this sort of automatic, I think in healthy community, this automatic sort of built-in system of checks and balances where it's like, if I have to share this forest with all of these other people, I can't take more than I need or they're not going to have what they need, right? And if I do take more than I need, the whole rest of the village is going to come after me and be like, you know what I'm saying? So that was the commons. And there's a book by a woman her name is Sylvia Federici, and she wrote a book called Caliban and the Witch. And it is a book about how capitalism moved through European countries and basically took away the commons from people and then made women the stay-at-home people who allowed men to go out and earn money so that they could pay for what they needed. And before all of capitalism and all the system existed, they were just able to get what they fucking needed. You know what I'm saying? So I tried really hard. I studied pre-capitalist, pre-patriarchal societies and was like, how do I create the online digital village version of this? And so to enter Rooted Web, you actually have to go through a pretty lengthy orientation process because I make it very, very clear that this is not a community where Lindsey is the center and you're all here to get something from me. Yes, I'm the leader in that I host the platform, I created the community. Women do pay to be in our community. It's a very small amount every month. And really what they're paying for is just the upkeep of the platform and the maintenance and the tech stuff. And the orientation process was a process of here's how we share. We operate with consent. We're all on the same page. We slow things down. And then another video was like, here's why this isn't the Lindsey show. Lindsey's not even going to be on every call. Lindsey is not going to show up to everything because this isn't the Lindsey show. I'm just a community member like you. And if you get to choose when you show up, so do I. I'm not obligated to show up at everything. We had another video because I knew that other practitioners, coaches, and therapists would be in the community. So we have another video about if you are a practitioner, here you're a human here first. You're not a practitioner here first. You're a human. So the way that you engage needs to be as a human, not as a practitioner. But if you have something you want to offer the village, let us know. We have a way for you to offer that. You can even get clients from it if you want. But it's not like, oh, just post about your business anytime you want to. You know what I mean? There's like a way to go about doing it because I don't want people to feel like they're in a community being sold to all the time. There was a video about conflict and like this is going to be a community where we talk about conflict and we facilitate repair. And if you need something, if you have a problem with something, say something. We can't help make this better if you don't tell us what you want. So it's very much a co-collaborative, creative process that I try very hard to like just be a villager and not be someone who's like sitting at the center of something. And it's not actually hard to do that because I also have a group of women that have been in community with me for some of them like 4 years now. And some of them are part of Rooted Web also. And they're what I call my lead weavers. And so they're not leaders in the sense that they have like authority or they're making rules or decisions or something like that. Although if there is a decision that needs to be made, they're part of that because I don't make unilateral decisions in the community either. But they're kind of like our village elders. They're like women who've been in the work for a long time. I trust their perspective. I trust their feedback. If I'm not in the community like 24/7, which I'm not, somebody's there who has eyes on things. And if there's something going on, I trust them to say something. I know there's women in our community who will like privately message certain lead weavers about things because they feel really comfortable talking with them. So yeah, we really tried hard to design it to be as close to an old village commons as possible. And we do calls. We have one of our lead weavers is a human design expert, and she does a monthly human design call where she teaches us about this month. It was like movement by design, and she's done like eating by design and business by design and stuff like that. And then we have another lead weaver who does a monthly creative journaling call. So women just get on and they can write or collage or paint or draw or whatever. We do just a monthly hangout call where we have no agenda whatsoever. We're just hanging out. And then whenever I have an offering that I want to give to the web, it's usually either long form writing that lives in a place on our platform called The Hearth, or I will create an offering for them and then give it to the web. And that might be like teaching a bonus workshop or hosting a call or something like that. So we also encourage women to give when you have the resources to, but please don't feel like you have to give when you don't have resources, because community isn't just about showing up and giving. It's also about receiving. And so we're really trying to teach and model reciprocity, and that reciprocity doesn't mean tit for tat. So we're very much trying to spotlight, here's what reciprocal relationship looks like. Here's what transactional relationship looks like. This is a space for reciprocal relationship, not transaction. It's not a membership where I'm delivering a certain amount of content every month. In fact, right now I'm not delivering any content, actually. So yeah, it's not a membership like that. And that's been a really interesting practice for me to have this feedback from these women and to take their feedback and see how we can plug it in and how we can like continue to evolve this digital village that we're building. But in human design, I only have one complete channel in my entire chart, just one. It's the 3740 channel, and it's the channel of tribal community. So like I was always going to start a community. Yeah. And I think the evolution that the collective is moving in, and I know human design has language for this, it's like the 2027 shift or whatever, and other traditions have, astrology has different things that they're saying, but something in the next year, there's going to be some shift. And I'm not sure that it's going to be some big shift that we're all going to feel. I think the shift has already started, but it's a shift away from like tribalism way of being where like everything has to be the same and you have to consider the group over the self. And we're shifting into a time where it's about, yes, being in community and being a herd, but also your own individuality and authenticity being welcome in that herd, and you not just having to go with the herd, but how do I go with the herd and be myself, right? Or how do I support the herd? How do I
inform the herd that way?
How do I inform the herd? Exactly. And that's like the shift that we're sort of moving in. And so I find it's really, really interesting that we last year have already started doing that in our community. And it really is about, we're centering everyone's authenticity and we're seeing what arises as a result of that, And so far we have not had any like major conflicts or big hurt feelings or upsets. So far, it's gone really well. So my fingers are crossed that it continues.
Yeah, wonderful. And I mean, every disruption or every conflict is, again, probably in your context as well, is again something to show where there's potential for evolution. Yeah, for something's not working, needs to be shifted, transformed in an individual or in the collective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. And it really speaks to what I see, what I would like to see happen on a large scale also. Well, I see in one way, I see that it's for us women to come together for exactly that, for learning, relearning that, or excavating to some part as well, because I think to a large extent it comes quite naturally to us as natural weavers for life, for community, and that when we're daring to lead with that the men can come along. Yeah, that we need them. I want the men as part of that village. But I've also come
Absolutely.
in the last few years to really appreciate and consciously create women-only spaces, because
Yeah.
we need to strengthen that part in us.
Yeah.
We really need to strengthen. And seeing, like you said something before, but that resonated with me in terms of when I am in a community where I am encouraged to be fully myself and I'm seen in that, I'm reflected, that I'm mirrored, that it gets strengthened in me, and then I don't need to be you anymore. Yeah, I don't need to adapt to you. I don't need to be competing with you. I don't need to make you small, because I know who I am, and I don't want to be
Yes.
you. Yeah, so
Yes.
it's in a way, it's really simple, and yeah, let's go.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that so much. Yeah. I don't want to be you.
Yeah. Why would
And
you?
also, I love you.
Exactly. It's there's space for both, right? It's like,
Yeah.
there's
You are
enough.
the greatest. And also, I don't want to be you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw me when you said the word weaver and I like lit up, because you don't know me, so you don't know this. But so I secretly, not so secretly, like feel very strongly, I identify very strongly as a weaver witch. And spider medicine has been deeply present in my business from literally day one. So I don't know. I just lit up all over whenever you said weaver, because that's not a word that people use all the time. You know what I mean? So the fact that it came up in this conversation feels really synchronistic, I guess. But yeah, the spider and the weaving is, I don't weave anything with actual textiles. Nothing. But I do feel like, I mean, even earlier when I was talking about animal body and soul body integration, that is weaving, and then weaving women together in community and weaving like authenticity throughout the collective. I see it so much as we're weaving. So just you saying that made me really happy.
Yeah. Yeah, we did this really interesting or amazing, powerful exercise yesterday evening with a group of 60 women, which worked amazingly. We hadn't much shared context. They were participants in that online summit, and we would just we would just shuffle them together, one woman with another woman. They had never seen each other before, and without telling each other anything about who they are, they would just scan and read the other person and tell her who she is, like the qualities that they receive from just seeing that woman. And I can by me using that word weaving so much, I mean, yes, of course you are a weaver. And I feel this real groundedness when you speak of the spider medicine being you. My body went like boom, boom. And I was like, aha. Yeah, of course. It doesn't surprise me, even though I don't know much about you, but I don't have to know you intellectually to see you or to witness you. And it's the same the other way around. It's like we have the skill to know each other without knowing each other, without having to put a label on you and know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
That's just one layer, which can be helpful for many things, but it's not essential for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Thank you for saying that. Can we circle back? I'm curious about your women's summit.
Yes.
Yeah. How did it go?
Yeah, it was the first online summit I ever did, and I did this with another woman in sisterhood, which was like the Adventure Sisterhood title. We lived it. We spent 10 days on a boat on Lake Constance in Germany, South Germany, on her sailboat.
Oh my God.
to really be in this cauldron together and navigate together and get it off the ground together. And it was amazing. It was really, really intense, but it was amazing because, we reached like 2,000 women or something, which is a lot.
So rad.
And we had 56 speakers that we interviewed beforehand and that we broadcast to make visible what women are already doing. I think we don't see that in the news often enough, but how much women are already on their way. And then we see all these news of men doing the patriarchal stuff again, and it's really disencouraging. It can be really disencouraging.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to make visible what women are already doing, like yourself. We are already, like, you're walking this path and you're weaving. And there's so many others doing that. So making that visible and we also had 27 live workshops. We're crazy. We're totally crazy putting that all into 10 days and just
That's so big.
going. It was big and it was amazing. It was easy and it was also challenging and it was just really, but it nurtured a hunger in me that I didn't know I had so much, like this. Okay, yes, I want to reach more women. Yes, I want to hear where they are. I want to make them visible. And I also kept coming to this place of this woman that I was doing it with. She sourced it. She had the impulse. She had the idea. And I came on board pretty early on through a joint friend. I did not know this woman until a year and a half ago. And then we started meeting regularly. And
then you just spent 10 days on a sailboat together.
Yeah. And but it's like being in this, like, I could really tell she's on the same, like, she comes from the same source. It's not that we have the same vision exactly in all regards, but we're coming from the same place. Like, I can see we are coming from the same source. You're connecting to the same root cause, and that can have so many different colors, and it's necessary that it has so many different colors. We don't have to be all the same. And from that to notice in an organism, when we move as an organism, and that's what your community is doing as well, from what I hear, it, like, in a way it matters that it's me, that I'm me, it matters, and at the same time it doesn't matter. And to my brain, this is totally like paradox. But when I would put my ego to the side without collapsing, without going away, and without thinking I'm insignificant now, but I would still be present, and I just hold space that she can fully shine. It's like the spaces are magical. It's amazing. It's so beautiful to witness. It blows my mind. It blows my rational mind to see, oh, wow, how it benefits the whole. It benefits me. It doesn't mean I'm insignificant. It just means I'm doing the part that is requested from me right now, and I'm doing it. It doesn't mean I'm still quite.
And when you're doing the part that's requested from you and other people are doing their part, guess what? You don't have to overfunction.
Exactly.
You don't have to do all the shit your fucking self.
Which is a massive shadow, right? When I need to boost my ego and I do it all, like, all I want is control.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh.
It's quite.
So I'm curious because I've done a couple. Okay, so my women's community is for women only, and whenever I was talking about it on social media and opening it, because it just opened August 12th of last year. So whenever I was opening it on social media, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel that as a practitioner, a facilitator, a space holder, I have an ethical obligation to define who my spaces are for. So if I'm starting a community that's for women only, I have an ethical obligation to say it's for women only, right? And I got slammed for being transphobic. And I'm just curious if that's just unique to the United States, or if you and your friend, when you created your Women's Summit, did you also get a bunch of pushback that it was hateful or exclusive or...
Not directly. I don't know whether that happened in the background. And I'm like, before I got into the summit, like, what I'm co-creating is the Radically Live Women community. It's also a community, and I'm so inspired by what you told me, because I'm at the verge of actually making also some decisions of giving it a clear container, because it's been really loose. So I'm still creating.
You want to talk more about that? We can.
Definitely.
Well, I've actually had women in our community tell me that they weren't sure about it until they watched my orientation videos. And then they were like, oh, I'm so here for this. Because they felt so much safer knowing here's when I can share, here's when I don't. I know what role I'm in here. Like they had a clear scope, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So I can totally learn, like I get a taste of the feminine way of giving, still giving structure, making, in that way you make this container safer by it being clear, just by being clear.
Yes.
Yeah. But from the start, I noticed in me also the defensiveness, because men would go, hey, mainly men would go, I haven't had the transgender issue so much. Men would go, but what about the men? This is not new. And I don't give it much weight anymore. I'm just like, yeah, what about the men? If you want men's work to exist, do it. Please do it. I want men to be in their power. I want them to be in their power. It's just not my job right now, and I'm not going to save the world. I'm just doing what is in front of me right now. And this is what I have a heart for, and this is what I want to do. And I see the necessity of us women healing together. No question about it. But what was interesting in front of, just before the summit, was that my colleague, she was creating this amazing trailer. I have to send it to you. It's so beautiful. It doesn't have a lot of German language in it, but just really speaks to the core of what we were doing in imagery. And she had this idea of inviting a young person who identifies as a woman but is in a male body. And I realized, whoa, I'm not there. It doesn't work for me. So we had an open conversation about it, and it was really beautiful to witness, okay, this is where we're at. And we decided that they would not join the trailer, and we haven't addressed it in any other way. I just haven't made it a topic. I think for me, this is a separate issue, which I'm curious about, but I'm not putting that at the center, because now I'm focusing on women. So this is, I'm walking the path and finding out how it goes while I'm walking the path. So I haven't had a big backlash, and I'm not sure whether that's because people haven't brought it, because obviously the language hasn't been super inclusive. I've just been using the feminine pronouns. Also, to the few men that joined the summit, the summit wasn't, it was clear that some of the offers were just for women, but men could join the summit, could listen in, could be there.
Okay.
And very few did, because it was so clearly addressed at women.
Well, yeah, adventure sisterhood.
And some men were there. It's like, we think it's really important that this happens, and we're here as brothers supporting the cause. And it's so beautiful also.
Yeah, that's marvelous. Yeah, maybe it's just not as much of a thing over in Germany to slam a person for not creating a space for trans people or all people or whatever. But yeah, I agree with you. I do work with men. I've done a men's cohort of my signature group program. I have 2 male private clients right now who I adore. I do love men, but I feel really called to share space with women. And for me, just personally, not even professionally, but just personally, the town I grew up in was a very Christian, cliquey town. And I never felt like I fit in with any of the girls. I didn't feel like I belonged to a group of girls. And my experience with groups of girls was they whispered about each other behind each other's backs, and they spread secrets, or they betrayed confidence, or they made up stuff about you and spread it around. Or it was like there was just always this sense of competition and this sense of I'm measuring you up. It's like that. And so for me to now have a women's community and to work with women, I feel for me is a reclamation of I will heal my relationship to females. I am committed to being in groups of women where the competition doesn't even need to be there, where the whispering or whatever gets called out instead of it being allowed. Somebody being like, hey, how about instead of whispering about that, you go tell her, that's the group of women I want to be in, not the weird shit I grew up in. And so for me, it's like a personal healing to purposefully put myself in groups of women, because that used to be the scariest thing ever. In a group of men, I feel so comfortable, but now I feel comfortable in groups of women. But that's because I put myself in group after group after group after group of women. And I am going to expose myself to this over and over and over so that I can, one, develop the discernment, right? Because I think when you have those weird experiences growing up, it fucks with your discernment a little bit, and you kind of don't even know what a healthy female friendship even looks like. And yeah, I love now being in groups of women, and I look forward to being in groups of women. And I can also pretty quickly tell if a group of women is going to be for me or not. Usually within the first one or two times of being with them, I can tell. And I've been meeting with a group of women here in my local village for over 2 years. We have a monthly moon circle. And that has also been, it's very small. There's only 5 of us. But yeah, just the way over the last 2 years, how our group has grown and matured together, and like how things have gotten deeper. And when we first started, it was sort of like, we're going to draw tarot cards and light candles under the moon. And now it's like, we're taking turns basically being on a stage, but it's not a real stage. It's more like all eyes are on the woman who's sharing, because we're practicing witnessing and being witnessed as the person sharing, but also being the witnesser. And so just to see how we've gone to this depth in a couple of years is also very magical, because I never thought that being like so honest and raw with women was even possible. You know, I think it's easy to center men when you don't know that relationships like this with women are possible. And then whenever you make relationships like this with women, then you're like, I don't need to center men anymore. Like, it doesn't even matter. You know, like, I love men and they're cool and I'm married to one and I have a son, but like, they're not the center of my universe. You know, I want to be in community with women much more than I want to center even my own son or my own husband. I love them, obviously, but I feel like most of the richness that I get in my life right now comes from groups of women.
Oh.
I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I'm so with you, and I'm really glad to hear you speak with your clarity.
Thanks.
Because, like, what, yeah. I mean, I don't think I need to add anything to that. I totally resonate. And I remember, like, maybe I'll add one thing. I remember being in a couple of spaces of the Radically Live Women Immersions, which is once a year we come together and immerse as women in a weekend. And being in these events and just my heart just bursting open with this immense gratitude for I get to experience this because I am a woman. As a child, I wanted to be a boy. I wanted to grow into a man. I was convinced I would. That was before transgender discussions. That was before, surgeries were a thing and hormone treatments. And then fast forward, I'm sitting there. It's like, whoa, it's such an incredible gift. I can't believe that I get to experience this. And because, I resonate with your experience of actually not wanting to be part of women's groups because of all these experiences I also had. But then then creating something else instead. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Yeah. I just see the groups of girls that I was with growing up, especially, but then also like in my 20s in the church and in other places. Now I see so clearly the like patriarchy that's present in even groups of women. And I got like slammed on the internet a few years ago because I posted that I think women are the biggest perpetuators. I almost said perpetrators of the patriarchy that there is. Because like, I don't know about you, but I have literally never had a man tell me to sit down, shut up, and cover up, except for my stepfather. But I had plenty of women throughout my time in the church, whether it was like a female Sunday school teacher, a pastor's wife, the youth pastor's wife, like the women were who were telling me to sit down, shut up, and cover up. And it's women now who have a problem with, I don't know, me skinny dipping and like posting a picture of it, or pole dancing and posting a video of it, or like whatever. It's genuinely not the men, it's the women. Is that your experience as well?
What it reminds me of is that my nephew, he's just about to turn 9. And at the age of 5, he loved wearing dresses. There's even such thing as boy dresses.
Oh, lovely.
And he would go into kindergarten with it. And the girls were the ones that were making fun of him.
Doesn't surprise me.
So he stopped wearing them. And it's that we are so powerful as women. I'm also looking really deeply at the shadow, and it's like, okay, so if I look at there's so much power in that unconscious behavior to police, right? And which often, like, I immediately get, like, it comes from adapting. It comes from being so good at adapting that we can then go around and police what we are adapting to.
Yes.
It's like there's such an immense power. If we use that power to change culture, great, let's do it, in a conscious way, in a life-affirming way, in a way that it serves this body and it brings us back to, hey, we're in a human body of a female. This is what I chose in this lifetime. And I chose also to find out my full yes for that. And so here I am in this body, and my senses, this is a question to you, would you say that being in a female body it's like this is the vehicle also that could drive change in the bigger world if we come home to our bodies more?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think for women, I think the collective change, if we're going to if the biggest dream ever, right? It's probably so unrealistic, but the biggest dream ever is like we dismantle capitalism, we dismantle patriarchy, and we live in a more matriarchal society where women, children, and the vulnerable are centered and everyone's needs get met. Even the men get healed within that sort of a society, like big, huge dream, right? Probably will not happen in my lifetime.
Let's be surprised.
Maybe. But I do think that, like, for women, when you can heal your relationship with yourself and your body and heal your relationship with other women and their bodies, because I think we as women have a really hard time admitting that our relationship with other women's bodies is not very good. That's where the competition comes from. My relationship with your body isn't okay, right? So it's not, I just have to heal my relationship with my body. I have to heal my relationship with your body and her body and her body and her, you know what I mean? But because when you heal those relationships and you're like, oh my God, we are all portals of life. Like, we're the only sex that can actually bring life into the world. I don't know how you could feel weak and powerless after that. Like, I don't. Even if you choose not to bring life into the world, right? Even if you don't have a fucking uterus, you still have a portal. So I think that discovering that power and that, like, it's not just babies that can be born, but it's like with the personal work and the collective work that we do, we have the potential to literally birth a different society. And if the men were going to do it, they would have done it by now. And I don't hate men. I love men, but I don't think most men know how to lead. I don't think most men understand, like, how to think about the well-being of the vulnerable first, right? And yeah, I think that through the portal of life that all of us women have, we have the opportunity to create something that's never been or has been created before, but has been gone for a very long time.
Yeah, and I must say, I think it's time to create even, like, it may be informed from what was, but we need something new. We need, like, the next version. We need something that is now, I don't want to go back. It's like, let's create.
And I don't think new. And I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I think the way that we're conditioned to think because of the patriarchal capitalistic systems that we're raised in is we're trained to look at the top and be like, oh, change is going to come from there, right? Oh, I'm just going to vote for the right person or the person with the most money. Like, it's going to trickle down and it's going to make change. I don't actually think that's real anymore. I think we've proven that it's not real. So I think that regular women like you and like me and the women in my community and the women in your community, like, we don't have tons of money. We don't have a platform or a big platform. I mean, I have 128,000 followers on Instagram. That's still not a big platform. You know what I mean? Like, so we don't have a lot of money. We don't have a big platform, but we're not looking up there for the change. We're living the change now. And I don't think it's going to trickle up to the top. I just think when enough of us live the change, it's going to get the attention of everyone and they're going to be like, oh, that is such a better way. Like, I'm going to go do it that way. And then I hope it leaves the people at the top being like, wait, where did all you guys go? What the fuck? We're like, peace out, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
That's how I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to start like locally in local communities, little groups, because the way we've done it hasn't worked. So I agree with you. There must be a better way.
And we're doing it like one
We're
one
fucking
by
around and
one
finding out.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite phrase. Let's just fuck around and find out. 'Cause we already fucked around and found out that like capitalism and patriarchy don't work, right? So let's fuck around and find out with something else.
I think
I have some ideas,
right.
like let's all get together, have a big brainstorm sesh, and then just like make it happen.
Make it happen. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah,
Lindsay. I think this is a great place to stop.
perfect. Perfect. Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
Imagine that you could become so radically alive that you would create not only the life that you love, but also the culture that comes through you that your being is designed to create. This is what this Agecast is about. This is what this Agecast aims to inspire in you as you listen to this right now.